Good day. Can people be possessed? I want to put to the side all the, say, mystical black magic kind of witches sitting in a circle possessing somebody, or like somebody like the movies being fully taken over by another entity. I'll put that to the side, and we could talk about that another time, because I do believe in these things, and I think schizophrenia is part of what this is, and I also believe there's good and bad spirits that possess people, and there's also but I want to talk more about psychological possession. I think I might do this in a few different videos. There'll be this video. I'll do it in how we can be possessed by lovers of our past. If you, what is possession like in a psychological sense? Let's start with that. To possess something is to own, right? So it's a lot to do with like being enslaved to a spirit, right? And so when I think about that, when I wake up early in the morning and I'm feeling kind of randy, and I have thoughts in my mind, and it's of an ex-lover of mine, and we had intense, amazing sexual encounters. And because of those, I still remember all the visions of it and all the feelings that came along with it, the all the drugs and dopamine hits I got from the a little over a year we spent together. I also realized how cognitively dissonant I was to all the problems in our relationship, so I could continue getting these dopamine hits and this amazing sex and appeasing the flesh. Well, I believe that the karma of the situation is something that we even talked about in the relationship, is like, how can we ever have uh, find a sexual partner again after this? And it's almost like we've hit a pinnacle. Where can we go from there, right? And then we both agreed, like, yeah, and laughed about it. However, that is a serious thing, and I believe that the reason we were so intense is because we really did love each other and we really had a connection, but we knew that there was this other part of us that was going to tear us apart. So we overly expressed ourselves in the other side, and I'll tell why that the I'm still possessed by that woman, you know. So I'm sexually, and I believe that sexual possession is one of the strongest possessions. And people talk about sex magic or the siren's call. It's been something we talked about for a very long time, and it's been passed through. And there's even, like, in the Muslim culture, they wear the burqas because it keeps people from yin or jinn possession. And that's where a woman possesses the man with her beauty and her appeal, and the man possesses the woman with the praises and, like, making them feel so special, right? And when you need those things from each other, they both end up into pathological positions. The man being run by his sex organs rather than his heart and his mind, and the woman being run by the appeasement of her flesh rather than her heart and her mind. And so it is important for us to have sexual connection with our partner. And I do believe that it's really rare to have those kind of connections that I had with this woman. And I have other women in my past that I still comes up in my mind, still possesses spots in my mind, and they start to become faded because they're farther in the past. But and this woman I'm speaking on is more relevant because it's closer to the future here, closer, not closer to this present moment. So I believe that there is ways for us to break the possession. And I notice a big thing about it is we can, as we learn to sense in our mind and be more in the moment, then we're not in other places in our mind and controlled by those other places. And so that's one thing, obviously, is learning meditation, learning to just be here rather than possessed by this other place and time or this person. So that's one thing. The other thing is I believe that we need to change how we think about sex and how we react to sex and how sex controls us. We have to practice discipline, which means we need to not watch pornography. We need to not really masturbate too much. And if you are, and I don't even stick close to that, but I think like, because there is ways of and there's Eastern teachings and also in Gnostic teachings about how there's huge amount of energy to be had from the harnessing of that energy, which means there's even practices of masturbation, which would be called nowadays edging, which would be coming to the edge of climax, so that you gain all that energy and that feeling and your blood starts flowing, but you don't release the dopamine or your chi energy by climaxing. And so as we start to harness that and not need this dopamine hit that comes from that, it has less of that control on our mind. And so I believe that pornography, we just cut it right out of our lives, and it's easier said than done for people that have lived with it in their lives, and I've lived with it in my life, and it's a temptation that still comes to me, because a lot of the reasons why too that people choose to distract themselves with sex, or the dopamine hit that comes from it, is to distract themselves from a pain, so. And it's a bad cycle, because as you become addicted to ejaculation, you are addicted to a really heavy drug release, but also it's a downward spiral, because you're releasing that chi energy that can lift you out of that harder time by continuing down. It's a snowball rolling downhill, So for a man that is tempted, like myself, because not everyone is. I know of people that don't have issues keeping this dragon on a chain, With those that are tempted, this is one of the most powerful energies you can harness. And it's also one of the most powerful energies that can be put on you and can possess us. So that's the first video on sexual possession, and I'll talk more in the next video. Have a lovely day.